Life. It's everywhere on Earth. You can find living organisms from the poles to the equator, from the bottom of the sea to several miles in the air, from freezing waters to dry valleys to undersea thermal vents to groundwater thousands of feet below the Earth's surface. Over the last 3.7 billion years or so, living organisms on the Earth have diversified and adapted to almost every environment imaginable. These diverse living organisms were classified into kingdoms.
Hello students, I welcome you all to today's lesson about kingdom fungi. Students, as you know that the 5-kingdom system of classification is proposed by R.H. Whitaker in the year 1969. Whitaker classified the living organisms into 5 kingdoms, namely Kingdom Monera, Kingdom Protista, Kingdom Fungi, Kingdom Plantae, and Kingdom Animalia.
Kingdom fungi. If you look at this 5-kingdom system, according to the classification, Monera represents the earliest group of organisms. You know, Monera are thought to have given rise to Protista. From Protista, the 3 other kingdoms of organisms, namely fungi, plantae, and animalia, evolved as shown here in the visual. Monera includes prokaryotes like eubacteria and archaeobacteria. Individuals are single-celled, even some of them are non-motile. They do not possess chloroplasts, nucleus or other organelles. They do have a cell wall. Examples of this kingdom Monera are bacteria and blue-green algae. Our next kingdom is Protista. Protists are single-celled organisms. They are identified by their mode of movement. They usually move by using cilia, flagella, or pseudopodia. Examples include red algae, slime molds, amoebas, and other protozoa. From this Protista kingdom, as I already told, that the other 3 kingdoms evolved. These are fungi, plantae, and animalia. If we look at the features of the kingdom fungi, these are multicellular with a cell wall, organelles including a nucleus but no chloroplasts. Fungi range in size from microscopic to very large, such as mushrooms. Plantae are multicellular and have complicated body. Organelles including nucleus, chloroplasts are present and cell walls are present. And you know, food is manufactured by the process of photosynthesis in the plants. Animalia are multicellular and have more complex body than plants. Their body makes movement with the help of special appendages. Cells present in animals have organelles including a nucleus but no chloroplasts or cell walls. Animals acquire nutrients by ingestion.
Kingdom Fungi. बच्चों, A.C.R.H. Whitaker द्वारा ਦਿੱਤੀ ਗਈ 5 kingdom system ਦੀ classification. ਇਹ 5 kingdoms ਹਨ Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae ਅਤੇ Animalia. ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਲੈਸਨ ਵਿੱਚ Kingdom Fungi ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ. ਲੈਸਨ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਕਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਓ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਦੇ ਲਰਨਿੰਗ ਆਬਜੈਕਟਿਵਸ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰ ਲਵਾਂ.
Upon completion of this topic, learners will be able to discuss kingdom fungi, list the distinctive characters of kingdom fungi, explain the various types of reproduction in fungi, list some important fungi.
So students, these were the learning objectives for today's lesson. You know that our today's topic is about kingdom fungi. Fungi live everywhere, in the air, water, on the land, soil, and in and on plants and animals. Mycology is the study of fungi, and mycologists are the scientists who study fungi. Of all the 5 major kingdoms of living organisms on earth, the fungi certainly contain some of the most bizarre and fascinating species. More than 70,000 species of fungi have been identified. The important and interesting thing here is that they are found in a variety of shapes, colors, and sizes, from brilliant red cups and orange jelly-like masses to strange fungi resembling golf balls, bird nest, and starfish. You must be anxious to see some of these varieties. So let's have a look on some of the beautiful fungi of the world.
Kingdom fungi. The penicillium shown here are the filamentous fungi. Penicillium species are widespread and are found in soil, decaying vegetation, and in air. Penicillium typically produces these brush-like heads. Rhizopus stolonifer, a fungus causing soft watery rot in fruits and vegetables, and rings of dry rot around roots of sweet potatoes as shown here. Neurospora, a genus of about 12 widespread species, produces bakery mold or red bread mold. It has been used extensively in genetic and biochemical investigations. Agaricus, the common edible field mushroom, which occurs mostly in your fields and in damp places. It is the species commonly available in our markets. Now look at Phallus impudicus, which is commonly known as stinkhorn fungi that attract flies. See another interesting and colorful fungi, which is cup fungi and known as Acero rubra. Oh, look at the beautiful red fly agaric mushroom known as Amanita muscaria. In addition to these, there are some more common fungi. You see all these carefully because it will give you an idea about their shape and structure. So enjoy these fungi.
When we think of fungi, we probably think of mushrooms we can buy at supermarket or find near damp area around trees. As I told you earlier, fungi come in a wide variety of sizes and forms, and many have great economic importance. Tiny, one-celled yeasts are important for baking breads and fermenting wines, beers, and vinegars. Many medicines are produced with the help of fungi, most notably the antibiotic penicillin. If you leave your bread on table for too long, you will be able to observe color, powdery patches of fungi on it. But the main question here is that what are some of the basic characters of fungi? How do they look like? How do they reproduce? How do they differ from plants and animals? And so on. To answer these questions, let us first check the basic characteristics of fungi.
Characteristics of fungi. The appearance of fungi resembles plants. They lack chlorophyll and hence are not capable of performing photosynthesis. So they must get their nourishment from other sources. Many fungi absorb nutrients directly from the soil. Fungi are eukaryotic and non-motile organisms. They are heterotrophs by absorption. The living body of the fungus is a mycelium made out of a web of tiny filaments called hyphae. The mycelium is usually hidden in the soil, in wood or another food sources. Asexual reproduction in fungi takes place with the help of conidia and spores, whereas sexual reproduction takes place by the process of conjugation. Fungi cell wall is made up of carbohydrate, chitin, unlike the cell walls of the plant, which is made up of cellulose. Food material is stored in the form of glycogen and oil globules. Fungi, along with some heterotrophic bacteria, help to decompose dead plants, animals, and other organic matter.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫੰਜਾਈ ਭਾਵ ਉੱਲੀ ਦੇ ਕੁਝ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਲੱਛਣ ਵੇਖੇ। ਫੰਜਾਈ ਮੁੱਖ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਟੈਰੇਸਟਰੀਅਲ ਆਰਗੇਨਿਜ਼ਮਸ ਹਨ, ਜਦਕਿ ਇਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕੁਝ ਫਰੈਸ਼ ਵਾਟਰ ਜਾਂ ਸੀ ਵਾਟਰ ਦੇ ਸਜੀਵ ਵੀ ਹਨ। ਦੇਖਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੰਜਾਈ ਇੱਕ ਸਮਾਨ ਰੂਪ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿਸਦੀ। ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਫੰਜਾਈ ਦੇ ਸਟਰਕਚਰ, ਸ਼ੇਪ ਅਤੇ ਸਪੀਸ਼ੀਜ਼ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਭਿੰਨਤਾ ਹੈ। ਇਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਭਿੰਨਤਾਵਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਨ ਲਈ ਅਸੀਂ ਫੰਜਾਈ ਦਾ ਸਟਰਕਚਰ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
Structure of fungi. The main body of a fungus is usually composed of enormous numbers of fine branching threads called hyphae. Each fungus will have vast numbers of these hyphae. These hyphae together form a tangled mat or web called mycelium. So the living body of fungus is a mycelium made out of a web of tiny filaments called hyphae. Hyphae may contain internal crosswalls called septa that divide the hypha into separate cells. In some fungi, the cytoplasm passes through and among cells of hypha uninterrupted by these crosswalls called as septa. These fungi are said to be synocytic fungi. Those fungi that have crosswalls are called septate fungi. The hyphae of some symbiotic fungi become specialized for penetrating the cells of the host. These hyphae are called haustoria. A common type of unicellular fungi is yeast. It is the microscopic fungi with a single nucleus and eukaryotic organelles. The typical yeast cell is spherical in shape. Because of its small size, it takes about 30 billion yeast cells to make up to 1 gram of compressed Baker's yeast.
Kingdom fungi. So these were the structures which we usually cannot see with our naked eyes. It is really very interesting to learn that in spite of not having hands and legs, it invades host body and survive on it. Fungi ਇੱਕ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਤੋਂ ਦੂਜੀ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਤੱਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾ ਸਕਦੀ ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਆਪਣਾ ਭੋਜਨ ਆਪ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣਾ ਸਕਦੀ। ਫਿਰ ਇਹ ਆਪਣਾ ਭੋਜਨ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਲੱਭਦੀ ਹੈ? ਇਸ ਦਾ ਉੱਤਰ ਹੈ ਫੰਜਾਈ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣਾ ਭੋਜਨ ਲੱਭਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੈਂਦਾ। ਫੰਜਾਈ ਦਾ ਮਾਈਸੀਲੀਅਮ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹਾਈਫੇ ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਭੋਜਨ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਖੁੱਭ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਹਾਈਫੇ ਜਿਸ ਤਲ ਤੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਉੱਥੇ ਪੋਸ਼ਕ ਤੱਤ ਅਤੇ ਪਾਣੀ ਨੂੰ ਐਬਜ਼ੌਰਬ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਨ। ਹਾਈਫੇ ਭੋਜਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੱਧਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਫੰਜਾਈ ਨੂੰ ਗਰੋਥ ਅਤੇ ਰੀਪਰੋਡਕਸ਼ਨ ਲਈ energy dinde han. Students, till now we discussed about the characteristics and structure of fungi. This must have given you a fair idea how do these fungi behave and how do they look like. To make it more clear, let us discuss the structure of common multicellular fungus known as Rhizopus.
Structure of Rhizopus. Rhizopus is a filamentous fungus found in soil, decaying fruit and vegetables, animal feces and old bread. The fungus has a non-septate or sparsely septate broad hyphae about 6 to 15 micrometer in diameter known as sprangiophores. The sprangiosspores are produced inside a pinhead-like structure known as sporangium. A sporangium is a fungal structure which produces and contains spores. Their spores are sometimes called sprangiospores. Sprangiophores are brown in color and usually unbranched. They are round to ovoid in shape as shown here in the visual. They can be solitary or form clusters. Rhizoids are located at the point where the stolons and sprangiophores meet. This genus is characterized by the presence of stolons. These are horizontal hyphae growing along the surface. The sporangia are supported by a large columella. These columella are hemispherical in shape. This is basically a cross wall separating the spores from the sprangiophore and aids in spore release.
Kingdom fungi. So this was the structure of Rhizopus. ਬੱਚਿਓ ਫੰਜਾਈ ਬਾਰੇ ਇੰਨਾ ਪੜਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਫੈਲਦੀ ਹੈ? Obviously, reproduction ਰਾਹੀਂ। ਆਓ ਹੁਣ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤਰੀਕਿਆਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਫੰਗਸ ਰੀਪਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ। Reproduction in fungi. The fungi reproduce by all three methods. These are vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction, and sexual reproduction. Let us see each method one by one. Vegetative reproduction. Let us check different methods of vegetative reproduction.
Fragmentation. Many fungi can reproduce by fragmentation. Any mycelium that is fragmented or disrupted can grow into a new colony. Next method of vegetative reproduction is budding. Budding. The simplest form of asexual reproduction is by budding. In budding, an organism grows a part of its main body and this new growth eventually breaks off to become a new organism. Separation of the bud from the parent leaves a scar. When chains of each cell do not fully separated, this can create a pseudo-mycelium. Another method of vegetative reproduction is by fission. Fission. This type of reproduction is very common in yeast. In this type, cell divide into two daughter cells which separate by transverse walls.
Kingdom fungi. Students, these were some of the common types of vegetative reproduction. Besides these, there are some methods of asexual reproduction by which fungi reproduce. For example, oidea, which are produced by fragmentation of hyphae of septate molds, and chlamydospores, which are produced by the development of thick cell wall around any hyphal part or cell. The most simple method of asexual reproduction is through the formation of spores.
Spore formation. They are non-motile asexual spores which are formed at the tip of modified hyphae. They are known as spores in sporangia and conidia on conidiophores. Spores are microscopic, haploid, and are uninucleated or multinucleated. Sporangia form at the tip of sprangiophores. The sporangium is filled with haploid nuclei and cytoplasm. The columella forms separating the sporangium from the sprangiophore. Each nucleus with cytoplasm forms a haploid spore with a tough resistant wall. The spores are wind dispersed. The spores germinate, forming a new haploid mycelium if conditions are suitable.
Students, this type of reproduction is most important type of asexual reproduction. The process of spore formation in most members group fungal is again based largely on the formation of aerial mycelium and differentiation of the hyphal tip. Asexual reproduction is extremely important to fungi. It is responsible for the production of large number of spores throughout the year. These asexual spores are formed on a phase of the fungal life cycle termed in some texts as the mitosporic or anamorphic phase. The onset of asexual reproduction is controlled by many different things. Some are environmental factors like nutrient levels, carbon dioxide levels, amount of available light, etc. ਬੱਚਿਓ, asexual reproduction ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ fungi ਵਿੱਚ sexual reproduction ਬਾਰੇ ਚਰਚਾ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਹੋਰ ਜੀਵਾਂ ਦੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ sexual reproduction ਵਿੱਚ ਦੋ parents ਦੇ contact ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਣ ਨਾਲ ਦੋ ਸੈੱਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਿਊਕਲੀਆਈ ਦਾ ਫਿਊਜ਼ਨ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਫਿਊਜ਼ਨ ਨਾਲ ਸਪੋਰਸ ਬਣਦੇ ਹਨ। ਵਾਤਾਵਰਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਨੁਕੂਲਿਤ ਪਰਿਸਥਿਤੀਆਂ ਮਿਲਣ ਤੋਂ ਇਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਪੋਰਸ ਦਾ ਵਿਕਾਸ ਨਵੀਂ ਫੰਜਾਈ ਦੇ ਰੂਪ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। However, sexual reproduction in fungi is complex and varies among the different groups of fungi. Let us check this type of reproduction in detail.
Sexual reproduction in fungi. Sexual reproduction vary in different groups of fungi, but fusion of haploid nuclei and meiosis are common to all. Sexual reproductions in fungi completes in three phases: plasmogamy, karyogamy, and meiosis. When fungi have to reproduce sexually, the hyphae of opposite mating types come closer as shown here in the visual. They grow towards each other until they meet. The ends of hyphae swell and become slightly different color and shape. The touching tips of the hyphae fill with nuclei and cytoplasm, and progamitengia is formed. The fusion of hyphae is called plasmogamy. The fused hyphae containing haploid nuclei form two individuals is heterokaryotic. In some cases, plasmogamy results in cells with one nucleus from each individual. This condition is called dikaryotic. From progamitengia, a crossbow forms behind each tip, forming gamitengia. The hypha behind each gamitengium is called a suspensor. Now the contents of the gamitengia mix. The nuclei of opposite strains fuse in pairs. The combined gamitengia finally results into a diploid cell known as zygote or zygospore as shown here in the visual. So, karyogamy is the fusion of two compatible nuclei brought together as a result of plasmogamy. The zygospore is thick-walled, resistant and dormant. In favorable conditions, the zygospore germinates by meiosis. At the tip of newly germinated hyphae, sporangium is present. The sporangium contains many spores. The spores are bind, dispersed and germinate, forming a new haploid mycelium. Each spore is a tiny cell inside a protective coating. The spore will grow into a new fungus when landed on suitable place.
So students, sexual reproduction introduces a possibility of variation into the population, and this is why most fungi have a sexual phase in their life cycle. To achieve sexual reproduction, it is necessary to have two mating type haploid nuclei. When two haploid nuclei meet, they must fuse to form a diploid first. Once these fuse nuclei, the resulting in nucleus undergoes meiosis, which is the reduction division that potentially brings about variation in the progeny. These events are followed by the formation of spores, which in most cases are resting spores that can withstand adverse conditions. ਬੱਚਿਓ, ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਫੰਜਾਈ ਦੇ ਲਾਈਫ ਸਾਈਕਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੋ ਇੰਡੀਵਿਜੂਅਲਸ ਦੇ ਹਾਈਫੇ ਦਾ ਫਿਊਜ਼ਨ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਜਿਸ ਨਾਲ ਮਾਈਸੀਲੀਅਮ ਬਣਦਾ ਹੈ, ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਇੰਡੀਵਿਜੂਅਲਸ ਦੇ ਹੈਪਲੋਇਡ ਨਿਊਕਲੀਆਈ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ. So this was all about kingdom fungi. With this, we conclude our today's lesson. Here is what we have learned from this unit. 5 kingdom system of classification was proposed by R.H. Whitaker in the year 1969. Whitaker classified the living organisms into 5 kingdoms, namely Kingdom Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. Fungi are eukaryotic organisms that differ from plants and animals. They lack chlorophyll and are heterotrophic. Fungi cell wall is made up of a carbohydrate known as chitin, unlike the cell walls of the plants, which is made up of cellulose. Yeast is a single-celled fungus, but most other fungal species are multicellular. Hyphae are branched, thread-like, tubular filaments. If filaments lack cross walls, the fungi are known as cenocytic fungi. When cross walls are present in filaments, they are called septate fungi. The hyphae of some symbiotic fungi become specialized for penetrating the cells of the host. These hyphae are called haustoria. The fungi reproduce by all 3 methods: vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction, and sexual reproduction. Many fungi can reproduce by fragmentation. A sporangium is a fungal structure which produces and contains spores. The process of spore formation in most members of the higher fungal groups is again based largely on the formation of aerial mycelium and the differentiation of the hyphal tip. Asexual reproduction is extremely important to fungi. It is responsible for the production of large numbers of spores throughout the year. During sexual reproduction, genes can be exchanged between fungal strains, thus creating variable strains. Sexual reproduction vary in different groups of fungi, but fusion of haploid nuclei and meiosis are common to all. Sexual reproduction in fungi completes in 3 phases: plasmogamy, karyogamy, and meiosis. So students, this is enough for today. Let us quickly check with some short questions what you have grabbed today. Be attentive. Here are some questions. Question: name the different kingdoms proposed by Whitaker. The answer is Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. Question: what is mycology? Answer: mycology is the study of fungi. Next question: name a unicellular fungus. Answer: yeast is a unicellular fungus. Question: in what form food material is stored in fungi? The answer is, in fungi, food material is stored in the form of glycogen and oil globules. Question. Fungi cell wall is made up of which carbohydrate? The answer is fungi cell wall is made up of chitin. Next question. Name the different methods by which fungi reproduce. The answer is the fungi reproduce by all three methods: vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction, and sexual reproduction. Question. The form of reproduction in which an organism grows a new piece that eventually breaks off to form a new organism is called? Answer is budding. Next question. What are haustoria? The answer is the hyphae of some symbiotic fungi become specialized for penetrating the cells of the host. These hyphae are called haustoria. Question. Name a fungus which is used mostly in medicines. The answer is penicillin. Question. Name the type of fungus which we usually eat as vegetable. The answer is mushroom. Question. What are septate fungi? The answer is those fungi that have cross walls are called septate fungi. Hope I have made a successful attempt to clear your concepts regarding kingdom fungi, which will help you in fetching good marks in the exam. Thanks for your cooperation and attention. Looking forward to the next class. See you then. Thanks.